Hello and welcome back to Big Bear Automations. We are on day 17 of learning n8n in a year. If you don't know what we're doing, I'll put a link to day one on the screen somewhere. Go back to day one. You're gonna have to catch up because we've done quite a bit. We've learned quite a bit, and now we're getting on to simple but effective workflows and building them out and what that looks like. So today we are going to build a very simple lead capture workflow that is going to be a form submission, and we're going to manipulate the data a little bit and go into Google Sheets and go from there. That's the plan. And then we're going to have a list in our Google Sheets of all of the different leads that we've been getting from our web form that we've set up. So this is how we're going to do it. Before I jump in, please like, subscribe, comment, get involved, please. It really helps motivate me and really helps the channel as well, which is great. And also I want to see your comments and feedback and all that sort of stuff, because it makes it better for me and in turn better for everybody else. So what we're building today is we're going to set up a Google Sheet with column headers. We're going to connect n8n to Google account. We're going to map our form fields to the spreadsheet columns using expressions. We're going to add automated timestamps. We're going to test with real form submissions, so Postman as our form, and then set up a retry logic for failed attempts and implement protection for duplicates. If we want that, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want to be told that loads of people are submitting the same thing. So to get started, we're going to need a spreadsheet. And I have not got one created. So we're going to go to Google Sheets and we're going to create a simple lead capture spreadsheet. So we're going to call this day 18, day 17 lead capture system. And we need to sort out our headers. So we're going to have simple timestamp, name, email, company, the message that they've sent us, and also our source. Where's it come from? Cool. Save to drive. That's all we need. Let's just make sure that's saved, because all changes saved. Perfect. So now that we've got our lead capture spreadsheet ready to go, actually I'll keep that up because we're probably going to want to have a look at the data. A few simple tips before we get into it. For your spreadsheet, try and keep your names simple. So if you wanted to do first name, either camel case it, or instead of doing a space, do underscore, which is your snake case stuff. Snake case? I think it's snake case. Cool. So now we're going to go over to n8n and we're going to build our workflow. So we need a trigger. For this, we're going to do a webhook trigger. It's going to be a post. So you're going to choose a post request. We're not going to do authentication today. And we're not going to worry about the path. We're just going to submit some stuff to it. So we're going to listen for a test event. No, we're not. Yes, we are. I'm going to copy that. Go over to Postman. change the URL that we did. So this collection's been sent out. It's in the other videos. I'll put a link in this one as well, but you should have all these posts and patches, deletes, etc. that you can play around with. Change the URL at the top. And I've added the body for our new spreadsheet. So this is how the form would come in: timestamp, name, email, company, message, source. And if you go back to Postman, timestamp, name, email, company, message, source. So we're going to send that. Workflow has started. Great. Over to n8n. Come over here. Here's our submission from our fake form that's actually Postman, but that would be your website form. So now, what do we need to do with that? We need to get it into Google Sheets. So first of all, we're going to just get it into Google Sheets, and then we're going to have a look at what we can do before we get it into Google Sheets. So find Sheets, Google Sheets, and we are going to append a row in the sheet. So it's this operation here, append row. All that does is create a new row in the sheet, and that's all we want it to do, is add it to our new sheet that we've just made. So we have done, I've obviously got the credentials set up here for my Google Sheet, but we have done this, we have already set this up, so you should have credentials here. The only difference is that you will need to go back to the console, the cloud console, go to the project that we set up beforehand, and go to your API library, so library, and you want to search for Drive, Google Drive API, click that and enable it. So it would say enable here, obviously mine's enabled, so just enable that one. And then you want to look for Sheets, Google Sheets API, and you want to enable that one as well. It will say, it'll have a blue button that says enable for you. So enable those two with the same credentials that we set up previously in the previous videos, or the project that we set up in the previous videos, and then this should work perfectly fine for you. So again, append row, we're going to find the document, so day 17, lead capture system, and what sheet we're in, sheet 1, we never changed the sheet. So there's two ways we can do it. We can field map, which is map each column manually, or we can map automatically. In this mode, make sure the incoming data fields are named the same as the columns in the Google Sheets. Use an edit node before this node to change them if required. So what that's saying is it will mess it up if the names of the items that we're putting in are different to the columns in the sheet. So I always go match each column manually. It's longer, but it's more guaranteed in my eyes. So I always go this way. So for simplicity, we can then pass over our timestamp, name, email, company, message, and source. Like so. Test that. That's the output. We go over to our Google Sheet. We've now got our item or row that is the sample data that we've put in. That really is a basic lead capture. We now have a way to capture all the leads that we're getting. We could then use our Google Sheet to email automatically from these emails, if that's what we wanted to do. So what I'm going to do is change this up a little bit. So instead of using the timestamp that was given to us by the post, which is probably the better timestamp, but just for example, we're going to use expression, and we're going to put in our now. Oh, no, we need dollar. Dollar, where are you? There, now. So that gives the timestamp of the current time, so right now. What I'm going to do is format that in a nicer way. So us UK folk like dates like this. I know, blasphemy. How's it got 56? Oh, does it think it's minute? It does. That's quite funny. Oh, no, just normal. So that's your day, your month, and your year. And that's formatted in that. And now if we wanted it to be actual what hour, so we put hours, we put minutes, and we put seconds. And that's the time in which this has been submitted based on the system time. So I would always probably use the timestamp given to us because it's going to be different to the one that's in our system. So if you look here, the timestamp here is the 6th of the 6th at 12:30, which is the actual timestamp, whereas this one is 56, nearly 10 o'clock in the morning. So obviously my time zone's different on my system, but it's a learning one, so it doesn't matter too much. So what if we wanted to do a bit of jiggery pokery in terms of the name and stuff? So say that we wanted to clean this up a little bit, or clean your submission up. We could do this in here with that string manipulation from our set node stuff that we did, which is in another day, a previous day's video, which you can go and have a look at. And we can manipulate this data in here to get it ready for the submission to the lead capture. So if it was me, I would probably lowercase. Not that it lets you. Oh, it's got an extract domain function now. That's cool. I would lowercase it just for formatting purposes, makes it a bit easier. And for what we're about to do next, which I'll show you. So what we're doing there is standardizing the input. So people can put John Doe at example.com, but it could be capital J, capital D, at a capital E. And you want to just start formatting your data in a way that's easier to manipulate at a later date. So for example, you probably want to trim the name and get any spaces off the end just in case. And it just means that you're starting to format your data in a way that is consistent, and consistent means that you can automate off it, which makes life a lot easier. So if we test that, we should get another one pop up with a different timestamp. And again, obviously the data is the same. Perfect. So now that is literally it for a lead capture. Like, that's all you need really, if you're just putting into Google Sheets, that is. But there's a few more things that we can do to make this a little bit more advanced. And I think that we're ready for it. So what if Google fails? It's an API at the end of the day. Yes, it's Google, but we don't want to lose that data. So what we can do is put retry on fail, max 3 times, and then stop the workflow. Stop the workflow if it fails after 3 times with the wait time of this. So it just gives you some leeway if the server was, or the API was to go down. you could just retry every 3 times every 1,000 milliseconds, was it? Yeah, 1,000 milliseconds. So it just gives you a bit of a safe blanket. So we can clean out the format, we can retry, and then what if we didn't want duplicates in our data, right? So we've got John Doe and John Doe. What we can do is before we submit, we can add in another sheet. And we can get row in sheets. So we're going to get the row now. We're going to try and search and get data. So we're going to go to our day 17. We're going to go to our sheet 1 and we're going to add a filter. So if the column that we want, so the email has the value of our email that's given to us. So test. So that should return 2, which it has done. We're gonna go down a path like this. So we're going to do an if statement, which we can do here. I don't know why I copied that one in. Like that. And then we're going to connect it to our new get request. And all we're going to do is bring in the JSON. So this one, email exists test. And that should be true because we've got something back. So what that says to the system is that actually we have received something back. It does exist. It is true. So if it was true, we could then go down a different path and say, let's send a message to tech support. Or let's just do my email address. Big Bear. Automations.com saying duplicate submission. Times done. Just throw that in there for now. Cool. So if it is a duplicate, email me to say I've got a duplicate. If it's not a duplicate, then add it into the Google Sheets where it should be. So if I save that, and if I change the data, so if I go here, listen for a new event, go back to the post request, change the email address to John. It's a different data now. Send that. Workflow was started. Workflow started. Let's test the whole workflow. I don't know why I did it that way. Send that again. Workflow started. Oh. That's why. So because there is no data, I forgot this setting. Because there is no data, you always want it to output something. So for here, we output nothing because there is no data. But what that means, then it will get passed to here where it will then check whether it exists or not. So if we check that again, it should go through the false path now. But everything's been real slow. There you go. So there you go. So it's gone through, it's checked, it's realized that it doesn't exist because we were passing that data on. And then it goes over to the Google Sheets, and then the Google Sheets will have our new nope, it won't because we've moved the hook. It will now. So because we've moved it down one, it wants the webhook, which I totally forgot about. So again, this is why we test, guys. This is why we test. Anything can go wrong, even on these simple ones. But yeah, because we moved it down, it doesn't know what it's looking for now, so we've got to give it the webhook sourcing. There you go. So save that, run that again. Now we should have someone in there that's called John. Dun, all the way through. Google Sheet, go to the sheet. John is there. We then go back, test the flow again, call it with exactly the same data we've just added, checks, it's in there, goes down there, sends me an email to say duplicate has been added. So, or try to be added, and it won't add it to the Google Sheets. Now, what you could do is have another sheet in here called duplicates, so that you're not losing data, like so. Copy that over because you want the same headers. Go back to your workflow, still send an email, and then have another sheet that appends a row to a sheet. You want the same document, so lead gen, but this time we want the duplicate sheet. We want to map everything as we said we would. So timestamp, name, email, company, message, source, like so. Save that, test it again, post the same data, it will go down that path. Once it's posted, Postman's being a bit slow today. Workflow started, there you go, down there. Then go back here, we've got a duplicate in here, John, but we still only got one John in here. So you're starting to collect your duplicates as well to see you're just not losing data if you ever need it. So what that means then is that we've got a lead capture workflow, we've got duplicate capture, we've got timestamp manipulation, we've got string manipulation to make sure things are common, standardization of your data. We have a filter that allows us to send an email on duplicates and change duplicates. We have a webhook that we can post our form information to, and we can start collecting our data. So that's a full workflow for lead capture. What we could then do is set up another workflow that when the road's added, send the road to AI or whatever and do a nice personalized email, ready to go. So there's a few common issues in troubleshooting that I'll let you know about. So authentication can expire. So just if your credentials expire, obviously just go in and log in again, re-authenticate your credentials. If fields aren't mapping correctly, double check that your form field names match exactly what you're using in the expressions. Make sure the Google account you're authenticated with has edit access to the target sheet. So again, that's what that library enablement does. And Google Sheets API has rate limits for high volume forms. Consider adding a small delay or wait node or batch processing, but we haven't done batch processing yet, but we have done wait nodes. So if you go back a day, you'll see the wait node stuff, and that will show you how to get past the rate limit side of things. So key takeaways: we've set up a clean column headings in Google Sheets. We've used expressions for dynamic data and timestamps. We've tested it with real form submissions faked by Postman, and we've added error handling for production reliability and considered duplicate protection based on our needs, based on the filtering that if it's in there, we want it in a different sheet, which gives us a full workflow of lead capture, which is awesome. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with, and hopefully that was helpful and something that you can implement at your workplace or your job, and hopefully saves you a bit of time in capturing your leads or exporting your leads when you don't need to. Please like, please share, please subscribe, all the jazz. It really helps, gets us, it gets the channel up and running, and it also means that we have more people that we can fall upon and communicate with as a group. So it'd be good. So thank you all for your support as well, and I hope you like the video. Thank you.